afternoon. Thanks everyone for joining us. We are going to get started in the next few minutes as we let everyone in to the webinar and get themselves settled. Thanks.
It's like people walking into the room, except you're on Zoom, so you can't see it.
Yeah. Love it. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Yvette Segura, the 2021 chair of the Tampa Bay Chamber and the Regional Vice President at USAA. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone who joined us on today's webinar. I know that the past 18 months have been stressful for so many people, and we want to be a resource not only for Chamber members, but also for the community at large. Today's event is a special one as we have Cheryl Sandberg from Facebook to join us and talk with us about small businesses. Cheryl and her team just finished up a small roundtable with local Tampa Bay businesses to really get to know our ecosystem in Tampa Bay. And we are so fortunate to have her here with us today to talk about those small businesses and the vital economic drivers of our community. We would be remiss if we didn't recognize all of our elected officials who have joined us today, from our mayors, legislators, and local elected officials from across the region. Thank you for seeing the value and importance in supporting our small businesses that make up our incredible community. It is now my honor and privilege to introduce Cheryl Sandberg. Cheryl Sandberg is Chief Operating Officer at Facebook, overseeing the firm's business operations. She is a co-author of Option B, Facing Adversity, Building Resilience, and Finding Joy with Adam Grant. And she is also the author of Lean In, Women, Work, and the Will to Lead. She's the founder of leanin.org. Cheryl lives in Menlo Park, California with her fiance and their 5 children. So without further ado, please welcome Cheryl Sandberg.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Life has changed during COVID, and I can't travel, but I traveled today to Tampa. I'm a Florida girl, so it's kind of like, I know Florida. I'm from Miami, and I know that Miami and Tampa are very different. But I have spent many a high school weekend with my girlfriends in Tampa because it was far enough for us to drive and get away from our parents, but not too far. We couldn't get there on a tank of gas. And I'm grateful to be kind of sort of home today. And I'm super grateful to you for hosting and having me. So thank you all for joining, and thank you for letting me be with you in Tampa.
All right. Well, we really do appreciate you spending some time with us today, Cheryl, and we've got some questions. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about the pandemic. We know that the pandemic has really hurt small businesses, including those here in Tampa. How has Facebook helped small businesses during this challenging time?
Well, look, to say this has been crazy is the understatement of the year. This has been a health crisis. This has been an economic crisis. And that economic crisis is especially true for small businesses. Facebook puts out the Small Business Report. I think it's one of the definitive research pieces that's done on small business. And here's what we know. 32% of SMBs in Florida said they had to lay off employees because of the pandemic. That's a third. 50% of SMBs in Florida said that their sales were lower than the same year before. Now, for us, that's not just an economic crisis. Small businesses are the heart of what we do at Facebook. So we took this as when we had an opportunity and an obligation to jump in and help. So what do? 3 things. Provided tools. What happened during this crisis is a lot of small businesses that weren't online before migrated online. Now, that makes sense because you had to sell online because so many things were shutting down. But before this crisis, a full third of US small businesses didn't even have a website. And that's because small business owners are busy, websites are expensive, mobile apps are even more expensive. But setting up a Facebook page or an Instagram business profile That's free and it takes minutes. And most people know how to do it because they are on Facebook or Instagram. So we just saw even more businesses setting up a free web presence. But then you have to know how to use it. So we provided digital skills training. 100 million people and a lot of small business owners in that group tuned into our virtual programs last year. And then we did cash to keep the lights on, $100 million to in SMB grants to 30,000 SMBs in 30 countries, 40% of that in the US and 37 grants as part of that to businesses in Florida. And what we see from small businesses is they are resilient. I'm going to share one of my favorite stories. I met Wendy Petties earlier today. She is the owner of the Pottery Patch, where you come in and you paint your own pottery studio. She had an in-person business for 13 years. It's hard, 18 years. It's hard for me to think of something that's more in-person than a pottery studio. What did she do? She pivoted. She set up pottery to go kits. You could pick up curbside, paint at home. She offered online classes and she went Facebook Live with story time on Saturdays. She also used personal ads. She can't buy an ad to the whole country or the whole state, but she showed her ads to people who are interested in art within 20 miles of Tampa. And that helped her reopen. And so that's just such a great example of people using the tools to make this pivot in such a critical time.
Yeah, certainly the tools are important, and I think they become even more important when you realize that that is kind of your only option to stay afloat. My sister is a small business owner, so I can definitely appreciate the challenges that have been faced. We also know that Facebook has created programs to help small business owners who are Black or from other underrepresented groups. Can you tell us more about these programs and why Facebook prioritized when creating them?
You know, look, it's been a hard time in this country, and the murder of George Floyd, these things are exposing long held and long terrible truths, which is there's very systematic racism. Now we see that in Black owned businesses. Black owned businesses have closed at twice the rate of other SMBs during COVID. 2 times the rate. So we did another big grant program. We did $100 million for Black owned businesses, creators, and nonprofits. We did 40 million for Black owned small businesses, including, and get this, 926 in Florida, 66 of those were in Tampa. That is a great sign. What happened here is people want to help. They're looking at that systematic racism. They know these small businesses are important, but what are they going to do? And 3.5 million people on Facebook in the United States alone have joined new groups to support Black-owned SMBs since March. 3.5 million. We also, working with the US Black Chambers, did one of my favorite programs ever. I think everyone knows what Black Friday is, right? It's the day after Thanksgiving, that Friday, where everyone starts shopping. We launched hashtag Buy Black Friday with a show where we said, we're going to let these organizations, these SMBs identify as they're Black owned, and people would jump in to watch that show and purchase. And 15 million people tuned in. We're deeply committed to trying to mitigate some of the racial bias and help small businesses. We have a particular focus on training Black and Latinx SMB owners. We've committed to reach 1 million Black people, 1 million Latinx people by 2023 through our Facebook Elevate program. And let me give you a local example, and this is one I love. Chakra Zulu Crystals. I met the owner, met on Zoom, Paula Hawkins, and she is amazing, and she shines, her personality like those crystals. She was part of that Buy Black Friday gift guide, and she received one of our grants. She started collecting crystals at 7 years old. And in 2016, she turned that passion into her business. She started online. Then she opened a physical store in 2019, and then it had to close because of COVID. Think about that. You start online, you go retail, and then you have to close. And so she pivoted quickly and set up an Instagram shop. She also uses our personalized ads. She targets people interested in crystals, yoga, meditation, and get this, and I'm so proud of her. Her online business is booming. As all of these businesses are really facing challenges, she went from 3 to 13 employees over the last year. And She converted an old storefront into a warehouse for her online orders. That shows what small businesses can do.
Yeah, what a great story, and talk about pivoting. That is fantastic. Are there other stories that you might be able to share with us about how Facebook is supporting small business in Tampa? I know you just gave a really great one there. Are there any others that you might want to share with us?
Yeah, I have lots. I'll share my favorites and the people I met this morning. But the city of Tampa is really important to us because there are so many SMBs there that are the heart of your community. In April, we did free virtual training for SMB owners in Tampa to learn how to use our digital tools. And I already mentioned we awarded 963 grants as part of our Black-owned business program. And one of our grant recipients was Ben Walker. He owns Buyers Point. This is the most incredible story. Okay, so he is an online home entertainment accessories store. So COVID hits, sales fall off a cliff because I guess no one's buying that because, right, it's an economic crisis. So he pivoted his business to selling masks and PPE, what everyone needed, that I think doesn't really have that much to do with online home entertainment accessories. He launched new PPE products on Facebook. He secured 10 contracts to supply PPE to the county public schools, the state of Florida's emergency supplier network, and one of the largest hospice systems in Florida. And now things are getting better, and he's got 2 businesses. And he told us that that grant we gave him came at just the right time and helped him make that pivot. How amazing is that? He took his selling expertise to sell something completely different that people really needed. And he was remarkable this morning.
Yeah, that is a really great success story. I've read about his business, and you're right, it's just fantastic. So what about those small businesses that have no website or any experience with digital marketing or online advertising? What concrete advice would you give them?
So you need to be digital, not do all your work digitally, but you need to, be able to reach people. So ready? I've got 3 tips. Establish your digital presence. If you haven't set up a Facebook page or an Instagram business profile, it's free. It's a few clicks. You probably know how to do it. And if not, your kids do. Set it up. 2, learn the basics of how to reach customers. It used to be that only big companies could afford advertising, and small businesses, they could do the yellow pages and they could do, handing out the flyers. I'm old enough to remember that. But now with personalized ads, SMBs can reach people you're interested in your products for just a few dollars in a very privacy protected way. And we have lots of free online trainings to do this. You can visit the Facebook Business Hub. And the next thing is keep iterating and learning. I did a meeting this morning, as you know, with a bunch of the Tampa SMBs. And one of them said, not all our ads are working. And one of them said, I had an account problem and we want to hear those stories and fix them. And a whole bunch said that their ads were working. You have to iterate and keep growing. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to share another local story. Is that okay? Okay. Bazaar on Apricot and Lime is an indoor market in Sarasota. So I got to meet owner Kim Levengood this morning. So this was an indoor market, 50 stalls for local small businesses. So again, think about running an indoor market when COVID hits. Boy, did that right? That's one of those businesses that I think she had to shut down completely. So what did she do? She went on Facebook Live. She does a live shopping show like QVC, but it's hers, called the Bazaar Shopping Network. And now her in-person market's open, but she's still doing the show every week. Because that live is so popular, she gets 2,000 views per episode on average. And she's, again, using our personalized ads to promote events and shops at the market. I love this. She recently hosted, I love jazz, a jazz brunch, and she targeted food and jazz lovers within a 15-mile radius. 70% of the people who attended the brunch saw the ad on Facebook. And so again, it is that we do this in a very privacy safe way. We didn't give her a single person, but we took her ad and we said, we're going to show it to people who we think like jazz and live close to you. And that worked. Think about that targeting ability. You can't run a TV ad and say, show it to jazz lovers within 15 miles of my shop. So.
Wow, that's a really great story. And I just love the fact that people have had to become so innovative, and it has just really created so many different ideas for businesses. So shifting gears a little bit here, we know that there's been a lot of debate about privacy and the use of digital ads. Apple's most recent iOS update has changed how Facebook tracks users and targets ads to them. Can you talk about this and how it impacts small businesses?
So privacy is a top priority. We are privacy first. And I think people need to understand that privacy and personalized ads are not mutually exclusive. Again, in that example, we deliver the ads, we show the ads to people interested in meditation in Tampa, and we don't give any personal information back, but those people then walk in the store. You know, large companies, Facebook, we can run a national ad, but small businesses can't. I bet the Tampa Bay Chamber can't, right? You have to be able to do that specific targeting. And I think the Apple iOS changes don't explain that well. So if someone said to you, do you want to be tracked around the web? Your answer is maybe no. But if someone said to you, do you want more targeted ads that are better, more interesting to you without violating your privacy at all? Your answer is yes. And I think we need to recognize small businesses create the majority of job growth everywhere, but particularly in the US. That's where the majority of jobs come. And small businesses also provide these incredible things for our community, and they depend on that targeting. So I'm going to share, this is the coolest example. Fairy Tale Pet Care, which is pet care services for wedding days. So Alana Karzinski, she wanted to give an opportunity for pet care services that were specific to people on their wedding day. Now, I didn't understand what this was, but she explained it. She helps dress and groom pets for couples on their wedding day and incorporate pets into that wedding ceremony. And then she pet sits the pet when the couple goes on their honeymoon. It's crazy. So COVID hit, 180 weddings canceled on her, 180. So she pivoted to help people plan virtual wedding ceremonies that incorporate their pets and ran personalized ads again to people who are engaged, interested in weddings as dogs. That's the kind of targeting that depends on using that data in a privacy safe way. And this is what's amazing. Now that in-person weddings are back on, her ads are working so well that she had to turn it off because she can't keep up with demand. And as the SMB roundtable I did this morning, we all talked about, like, that's a problem most small businesses would like to have.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great problem to have. And I think pretty much everybody bought a dog or got a dog during COVID. So what great business for her. That is fantastic.
There was a huge, I think there was a huge uptick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Pretty much everyone I know has a dog. Yeah.
We don't have a dog. Someone in my family is allergic, but two of the children in my family, how do I say this? They don't really care that someone's allergic, and they're always trying to get a dog. And they definitely were pulling out the COVID. It's COVID. We need a dog. I'm like, someone's allergic. Like, one of our family members is allergic to not getting a dog. But if I did have a dog, I'm getting married. Oh, I hope next summer. I would want that dog in my wedding.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So special. So you've shared a bit about this already, but maybe more specifically, can you tell us why Facebook cares so much about small businesses when really there are so many larger businesses using the platform?
Because small businesses are the heartbeat of our community, and they're the majority of the people that use our free tools. So we have 200 million small businesses using our free tools. 10 million advertisers who are customers of ours. 9.9, thousand of those are small businesses. It's a majority of our customers. And so we grow their business, it grows ours. And you can see how that works. I'm going to keep throwing out my great examples. Peterborough Chocolatier is a chocolate shop in Tampa, and I think maybe the only one that's making a local product. I met Jennifer Hill. She was a mom. Well, she is a mom, sorry, but she was working as a teacher for 20 years. And during COVID, she said, I'm going to become a small business owner. Her kids went to college. She opened a chocolate shop through a franchise. And then she used personal ads to find customers on Facebook. And this is what I love, other moms who also love chocolate. And so what happens there? She grows a business. Someone else grows a business. It keeps growing. And that's what we want for jobs and for our country.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great success story for sure. And who doesn't love chocolate, right?
Yes.
All right. So you are well known for your book, Lean In. I don't know anyone who has not read it. And all the work that you do to promote women in the workplace. Can you talk about how the pandemic has impacted women entrepreneurs and women-owned small businesses?
I can, and it's not a good story. COVID's a health crisis, an economic crisis, and it's a gender crisis. In that same Facebook small business report I talked about, female-led SMBs are closing at higher rates than their male counterparts, 25 to 20%. That's a big increase. And here's why. Household-related reasons. 16% of female SMB leaders said that's why they're closing, 8% of men. And that's the number one reason female-led businesses don't expect to reopen. We have a gender divide in this country, in this world. It's compounded by the fact that female workers and business owners are heavily represented in industries hurt most by COVID. And so we really care about women starting businesses. Since 2016, we've trained 1 million women entrepreneurs in digital skills, with She Means Business. So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so beyond small business owners, women in general have been disproportionately hurt by the pandemic. So can you talk a little bit more about this and what you think companies and the government should do to help?
Yeah, so let's throw some numbers at this. From February to February of this year, February of 2020 to 2021, women lost 5.3 million jobs. 2.5 million left the workforce compared to 1.8 million men. And here's the thing I want everyone to hear. Female workforce participation in the United States is at its lowest point it's been since 1988. I graduated from high school in 1987. That is a generation of lost progress. Florida's labor force lost 6 times as many women in 2020 compared to the prior year. My foundation, Lean In, we put out the largest survey of women in the workforce, has its name, Women in the Workforce, every year. And the pipeline has been heading in the right direction for so many years. But we called out last fall that 1 in 4 women was considering downshifting or leaving, and now they have. And that's because women do the great majority of the childcare and housework in this world and in this country. So before the virus, women worked a double shift, meaning they worked a job and then they came home and did all the work at home or most of the work at home. Now women are working a double shift. The average woman is doing 71 hours of childcare and housework a week, 20 hours more than men. 20 hours a week is a half a full-time job. And if you are a woman of color, those numbers skyrocket up. So Facebook, we've been watching this really closely. We've put policies in place to help caregivers. We gave 10 weeks of paid COVID leave in 2020. We renewed it for 2021, but our economy will not recover if we don't get women back into the workforce. That takes government policy and that takes companies doing the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly starting with the data as you did drives the point home. And many people get their information from social media. Share with us how Facebook is focused on countering misinformation, especially right now when we know there is a lot of misinformation out there about COVID-19 and the vaccine.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked this question because it's certainly top of mind for me and everyone. When the pandemic happened, March of 2020, we launched the COVID Information Center. We put it at the very top of your newsfeed. We have a unique ability to reach people. We connected 2 billion people to authoritative information on COVID. Information coming from the CDC, the World Health Organization, their local health ministry. And at the same time, we were removing COVID misinformation. Well, we now updated that for vaccines. We are running right now the largest worldwide campaign to promote authoritative information on vaccines. We're giving state-specific notices. We've partnered with the Florida Department of Health, telling people, here's how you get vaccinated. One thing that we know about vaccine hesitancy is that when family and friends get vaccinated, people are convinced. So we launched a profile frame for Facebook that said, I got vaccinated, I have it, I put it up. And I put it up and one of my friends saw that I got vaccinated and called me and said she got vaccinated, and that was pretty cool. 5 million people have used the I'm vaccinated Facebook profile, and the Instagram stickers, which is the same thing on Instagram, have been used 7 million times. We've also given a lot of ad credit so that the Florida Department of Health, we gave $1 million to the Florida Department, could run ads to make sure that people can get vaccinated. The other thing we did, and this is local, and it's not in Florida, but I love it, is we converted part of our headquarters into a vaccination site for the hardest hitting neighborhoods and partnered with local government and local health providers to get vaccines out to underserved communities.
Yeah, that's fantastic to make it available. I think that's been the most significant challenge. And of course, myself and so many of my colleagues here on this call today have also posted their vaccine, having gotten their vaccine, something that we are all proud to be able to share. We know it has been a tough year and then some for a lot of people. And after your husband died, you wrote about the challenges that you faced, about how you were and then ultimately able to build resilience and find joy again. Can you talk about that experience and give advice to anyone who might be struggling right now?
When my husband died, I kind of wanted option A, which is what I had, and I couldn't do it. My friend Phil said to me, we're going to kick the out of option B. I think everyone's living in option B right now. And one of the questions I asked when my husband died is, how much resilience do I have? And I asked my friend Adam Grant, who I eventually wrote this book with, and he said, that's the wrong question. The wrong question. The right question is, how do I build resilience? It's a muscle. So how do we do it? We show up for each other. I heard from some of these SMBs this morning how they were helping their community, providing PPE, providing free meals, doing amazing things. I've heard this from small businesses around the world. I've heard this from friends. I have a close friend who went through chemo. I couldn't fly to her city and go with her. They wouldn't even let me into the hospital if I went there. But I Zoomed. We show up. And in that showing up, we build that muscle of resilience.
Yeah, absolutely. And your personal story after your husband's loss, and then you're finding that resilience or building that, is what prompted me to read that book. I'm a huge fan of it. So Sheryl, thank you so much for your insight and the incredible information that you shared with us this afternoon. I want to thank everyone for joining us at today's event. And I would especially like to thank the incredible Facebook team for helping put this event together. And Cheryl Sandberg, thank you for your time, your dedication to helping small businesses. We so appreciate that you've made yourself available for us, along with all of the knowledge and experience that you've shared here. So thanks for spending some time, everyone, this afternoon. Sorry, Cheryl, go ahead.
No, I was going to say thank you for having me. I'm super grateful.
Oh. Yeah, we are too. So thanks, everyone. We really enjoyed the afternoon together, gaining further understanding on the economic recovery and Facebook's role in supporting small businesses, especially throughout the pandemic. So everyone, have a great day and stay safe. Thank you all. Thanks, Cheryl.